A special election mayoral recount in Brooklyn Park ends with candidate Lisa Jacobson with a 2-vote edge over Hollis Winston. The recount still needs to be certified, and there are ballots that have been challenged by both candidates. This comes after the August 11th special election in which Jacobson won by a single vote. The mayoral recount took about 6 hours on Thursday. Delane Cleveland was at the Community Activity Center all day as the recount happened, and he joins us now with more. Delane?
The recount began promptly here at 9 o'clock Thursday morning, and after nearly 6 hours, the painstaking process of counting more than 6,800 ballots by hand is finally complete.
It's part of the democratic process. You know, this is why we put it on. This is why we ask all the voters to come out and vote for your candidate. And unfortunately, we had a 14% voter turnout, 1 vote difference, and this caused the recount.
City Clerk DEVIN Montero is the man who organized Thursday's recount. The city set up 3 tables so they could count 3 precincts at a time. The volunteers divided the ballots into different piles based on the candidate, and then counted those ballots by hand. Representatives from each candidate observed the entire process. This recount was necessary largely due to the low voter turnout. Election officials in Brooklyn Park say they expected a 20% voter turnout, but as Montero mentioned, only 14% of registered voters came out for the special election. The attorney representing candidate Hollis Winston expressed his disappointment after the recount was finished.
Obviously, we were hoping for a different result. We were hoping to pick up 2 votes today. But what I can say with certainty is the voters of Brooklyn Park can all know that their votes were counted.
The Brooklyn Park City Council will officially approve the results Monday evening. Assuming that all goes as planned, the new mayor will be sworn in on August 30th. In Brooklyn Park, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
Brooklyn Park police continue to look for the gunman who shot and killed a 16-year-old boy in a vehicle outside of a business on Tuesday evening. According to the Hennepin County Medical Examiner, Varney Kennedy Jr. of Golden Valley died of multiple gunshot wounds. It was the city's 6th homicide this year. As Sonia Goins reports, the family of the latest victim is putting out a plea for peace.
Wednesday, the victim's family and community activists gathered for a prayer vigil. They called for peace and they begged the public to put the guns down.
It's sad that we are drawn here again by a tragedy.
It's painful, it's hurtful.
Words cannot adequately portray the sadness and grief the Kennedy family is feeling after losing their son to gun violence.
My son should not be lying to where he is today with a piece of cloth over him. He should be in school. 16-year-old
Varney Kennedy Jr. was fatally shot outside the African Market near Brookdale Drive and Yates Avenue North on Tuesday evening.
I love my son. I lost my son.
His mom, BEATRICE Kennedy, recalls the last moments of his life.
My son lay in the grass there and the police could not even allow me to touch him. I saw him when he made the last voluntary movement.
The family says Varney was quiet, friendly, and always had a smile on his face.
Everybody loved Varney. He was my baby. I call him the love of my life. He was my heartbeat. He remains my heartbeat.
I don't want any family to go through this anymore. It's enough.
The grieving parents asked the community to honor their son's legacy by stopping the violence.
Family are grieving every day. This needs to stop.
Today I know I have a new career path to advocate against gun violence.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
Meanwhile, Brooklyn Park police are investigating a drowning at the city's largest apartment complex. Police were called to the Huntington Place apartments just before 1 p.m. on a report of a man who was pulled from a pool and not breathing. When officers arrived, they performed CPR. Unfortunately, the life-saving efforts were not successful, and the man was pronounced dead at the hospital. The identity of the 25-year-old victim has not yet been released. COVID-19 continues to impact healthcare systems. Hospitals are now facing growing labor shortages, and one example is in registered nurses, which are seeing a 10% vacancy rate across the country. North Memorial Health Hospital in Robbinsdale is also feeling the crunch from the higher turnover rate. The hospital is hiring full and part-time RNs, nursing assistants, techs, and more. They hosted a job fair with on-the-spot interviews, offers, and even job bonuses in an effort to fill some of the open positions.
The need is very high right now. As an organization, we have a high need for healthcare workers. We have many open positions in a lot of different areas.
Gibbons also spoke about increased efforts to support current team members during a challenging time. In Maple Grove today, a celebration of business startups. One of them has developed a groundbreaking technology that could one day treat a range of obstructive lung diseases.
This one was the very first prototype made in his lab by the inventor, Dr. Marty Mays, who was a pulmonologist at Washington University in St. Louis.
Congressman Dean Phillips received a tour at Nuvaira, a medical device company in Maple Grove. Nuvaira developed a new one-time treatment that could be used on patients with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which includes emphysema and chronic bronchitis.
Right now we're in our called Pivotal, the final major U.S. clinical trial right now. We're running that trial right now, and the trial is about half done. And so that's where we are. It's a really exciting time for the company.
The results so far have been very promising, but getting to this stage has been expensive and it's taken a long time. The company was actually founded 10 years ago. Dr. WAHR says that amount of time is actually normal to get a new medical technology to market. If all goes well and it's FDA approved, we could see Nuvaira's product on the market in about 2 years.